Hello and welcome to the band. You're about to start on a great journey where you'll learn a new instrument. The next few videos will show you how to make your first sounds, how to play some notes, how to put together your instrument, how to take care of it, and how to be part of the band. So, grab your instrument and all your supplies, and let's get started. Okay, so you're ready to get the snare drum out. Hopefully, your snare drum has some kind of case like this one. This is kind of almost like a hard cardboard kind of case. It's a really simple case. A lot of other cases that you might see. If you got a snare drum that came with your bell kit, for example, it might have a soft case that somehow attaches to your bell kit case. But anyway you slice it, you really ought to have some kind of case for your snare drum to protect it. Just like any other instrument, you ought to have a case. So for this one is really self-explanatory. You cannot open this one up upside down. If you look at the bottom, I mean, there's nothing. And you look at the top, this strap is what holds the top on, so it's really simple to see where the top is on this one. So you just undo the buckle, like that. Pull our top off, and there you have your snare drum inside. So it's really simple how to get this out. Now I'm going to show you something while we're getting it out that you need to pay attention to for when you're putting it back into the case. You'll notice kind of the shape of this is not totally round. We have a flat spot here at the bottom. That flat spot creates a little bit of a corner on each side of it, and those corners can actually play to your advantage when you put it away and you pull it out. So you'll see as I pull this out, on the side of the snare drum, there's this switch here. That's going to be important later on. And on the other side of the snare drum, we have the other side of it. And so you'll want to put it away with either this side, but I recommend the switch side to go back in that corner. That way it sits nice and securely inside the case. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull this out now. Move our case. We'll set that back down. Now when you are getting stuff out of a case, you need to be sure that you always do it on a flat surface. Most of the time your snare drum probably is going to be on the floor or on a table or something like that. So be sure that it's on a flat surface that's not going to move. On your lap or on a music stand is really not a good idea. So I just want to go over a little bit about what you're seeing here with your drum. This top side right here that's white, and you can hear a little bit of texture to that head. This is called the batter head or the top head. This is the part that you actually contact with a stick. Along the side here we have lugs. Those are important when you're tuning the drum, which we're going to talk just a little bit about. We're going to kind of touch that briefly. The other side of the snare drum, you'll see a couple of other things. We have another set of lugs, and we have the snares. Then this side, this head, you can see that's a kind of a clear plastic. This head is a lot thinner. This is not meant to be hit with a stick. This simply is here to have something for these snares to rattle against. This is called the snare head, okay? Now, the snare actually needs to come right across the drum and rest evenly over on the sides here. Now the other part of the drum is the shell. The shell is kind of what holds everything together. The head goes on the shell on either side, and then the hoops connect to that with the lugs to kind of tighten and put tension on the snare drum. And that's how the snare drum stays in tune. Now, with tuning a snare drum, you're going to tune it by adjusting these lugs. I'm going to highly recommend that you don't try and do this by yourself. I would get a private teacher, someone at the music store that can help you do this. A repair technician at the music store could probably help you do this. But I would also recommend getting someone that plays a drum to help you learn how to tune the drum. The basic idea behind tuning the drum is to get the tension on all sides of the rim to be equal. so that when we hit it by the lugs, it sounds the same all the way around. We don't want it to be high on one side and low on another side, because that ultimately will ruin the drum. So being able to tune the drum adequately is a very important skill that you're going to want some help with. Have someone show you so you can get hands-on with someone there helping critique what you are doing so that you can do it correctly, because you want to be sure that the tension is right on all of those lugs. So I recommend to you that you get a percussion teacher or a music store instrument technician to help you learn how to tune your drum, because it's very important to have an in-tune drum. Just like any other instrument, you wouldn't want to hear a clarinet or a saxophone or a trumpet playing out of tune. Same thing goes for the snare drum. You want to be sure that it sounds good, that it's in tune, and that it plays well. Okay, one of the major tools that you'll need as a percussionist is a drum key. The drum key just looks like this little rod with a couple of wings on it, is what tightens up or loosens your lugs on the drum. This is important even if you don't know how to tune the drum and you haven't been taught that by a professional, because you need to be sure that you're checking your lugs on a regular basis to be sure that they're not coming out. Because oftentimes when you play, the vibration sent through the drum will loosen up these lugs and make them pop out. So before you play, go ahead and take your drum key and you're going to check the lugs. And I would recommend doing this in kind of a star pattern. So if you start here, go right across the drum. Now you're not trying to tighten it, you're just checking to see if they are tight. Come back over here, see if it's tight. Back over here, see if it's tight. Here, see if it's tight. Remember, we started here. And then we would be back there. So it's all tight. And I didn't try actually tightening anything, because if you do that, it'll change the tuning of the drum, and you don't want to do that if the drum is already tuned correctly. Okay, you're going to flip over the drum, and you want to do that same thing on the batter side. Now, or excuse me, the snare side. The snare side is a lot more common, because with those vibrations and gravity, since this is the underside, these are going to come out. So you'll find these loose a lot more commonly than you'll see the batter side lugs being loose. So we'll check that really quick. Remember, we start here. I'd leave your hand there just to remember where you started. There, and we're good. So we've checked all those. They all are really good. All of our snares are tight. And we're ready to get going on the drum. Okay, the next part of getting your snare drum set up is adjusting the stand and getting the snare drum to sit in the stand basket. So I've got my stand here, and you've got the legs of the stand that are adjustable with this screw right here. So you want them out so that they're wide enough that it's going to sit nice and solid, and then adjust it with that screw. On this particular stand, there is one height adjustment, and so I've already kind of set it to the height that I feel like I need, and I'm going to show you how to fine-tune that here in just a minute. Then you open up your basket, and it sits open like that, kind of like a claw. So put that down. Okay, and now we'll grab the snare drum. Okay, so now that we have our snare drum and we're ready to put it on our stand, you want to be sure that it fits within those three prongs really, really comfortably. You want to be sure that you don't hit the snare side head with any of those prongs. And then there's a screw at the bottom that you'll tighten up until it's nice and firm. So what I'm doing is I'm tightening this screw right here so that these arms come close around the drum so that it holds it nice and firmly in place. Then if I put this down, we can see that it's obvious too low. It's like, where did the snare go? Where we want the snare to sit is right about where our belt line is, maybe just a little bit below where our belt would be. So again, we'll adjust this from the bottom, move it up a little bit. Probably need about 4 inches from where I was. We'll try that. So now the drum is sitting right at the bottom of my belt, right here. So this is nice, a nice and comfortable height for it to be at. So now that it's set at the correct height, just right below my belt, I'm ready to grab some sticks and get going. So I have some sticks right here. These are Vic Firth SD1 Generals. SD stands for snare drum, and general is general use. So you'll notice that at the top we have a nice round tip as opposed to kind of an egg-shaped tip. Those are typically used a little bit more for drum set. So we'll use a nice round bead at the top, and the shaft of the stick is a good solid thick stick. Not as thick as, say, a marching snare stick would be, but thicker than what we would use on a drum set. Now I'm going to show you the grip so that you can hold the stick in the right way. A lot of times when people grab the sticks, they just grab them any old way and they start beating on the drum. We want to be sure that we have good technique so that when you get better, that technique advances with you and you can ultimately go faster than if you just grabbed a pair of sticks and tried to go really fast. So technique is extremely important. And so now we're going to talk about the grip. Okay, so now that I'm a little bit closer, we're going to go ahead and work on the grip. So take your right hand and you want to place your stick right like that in the palm of your hand. So your first knuckle goes on the stick like that. And then you bring it kind of where you have a crease in your hand right here. That's where your stick needs to fall. So that first knuckle on the first finger into that crease in the palm of your hand. Now, I really like to use the Vic Firth snare drum sticks only because there's a little American flag right here. That American flag makes a great placement for our thumb. So when we put our thumb in like that and we wrap this finger around, that's the grip right there. Now you don't want to be pressing like that, and you don't want to be tucked down here like this. Some people make a fist. That's how you box, not how you play the drums. So you press that little American flag with your thumb, and then place your first finger there, right opposite. This is what's called the fulcrum. This is where your stick will flex, like that, okay? So once you've done that, then you gently wrap your fingers around. Don't have like an iron grip on it. If you have an iron grip on it, you're going to have a really hard time playing quickly. So we'll wrap it around like that. So now if you don't have a Vic Firth stick, that's totally okay. There's lots of great stick brands out there. You've got Vader, ProMark, Innovative Percussion, lots of great sticks out there, and you just have to choose what works for you. The Vic Firth SD1 General is a great place to start. That little American flag really helps, but if you don't have that, maybe about an inch, maybe an inch and a half coming out the bottom of your hand if you were to turn your hand around like that. You don't want to be all the way at the end, and you don't want to be choked up too far because then you're going to hit your wrist with the stick like that. So that's how you grip the stick. So now you'll just repeat that process with your left hand. Now that we've talked about the grip and we're ready to play, we need to know, well, how should I play the drum? There's lots of different ways. I can turn my hands and things like that. And it really does matter which way your hands face. So to practice this, we're going to put the sticks down for just a second. When you play the drum, it's a lot like playing, I don't know, playing the air drums or playing on a desktop like you might do in class. Your palms are down flat, and you just play. Brandon is going to show you this technique. So now that you've watched Brandon do the palm down technique, why don't you try it? Go back and forth, alternating, patting the drum. Try to use only your wrist. If you use your arm like this, you're not ever going to be very fast, and that's poor technique. So we want to use our wrists and our fingers, just like we're patting the drum. Like that. Once you've done that, that's the same motion when you put a pair of sticks in your hand. Same patting motion. We don't want to use our arms too much. We don't want to flail. Just simple technique with our wrists and our hands. So now let's try it with a pair of sticks. Watch Brandon as he applies that same technique to the drum with the sticks in matched grip. All right, did you notice how it looked exactly the same as when he was patting the drum? Easy peasy, right? So now, you're going to try it. Be sure that when you have your sticks in the proper grip and technique, it's just like patting the drum, only you have a stick now coming out of the side that's hitting the drum. Be aware of your fingers at the bottom of each stick. A lot of times it's really easy for beginners to kick out those pinkies like that. We call that our English playing, like our little spot of tea. We don't do that. We do not stick our pinkies out, okay? And keep our palms flat to the ground. When our palms are flat, we're going to have a lot better technique and we'll be able to move faster, okay? And you're just like you're patting the drum, but with a stick. Great. Now, let's try it a little bit faster. Brandon's going to show you what's called a single stroke roll. It's a simple alternating pattern back and forth between the right hand and the left hand. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Easy, simple pattern like that. Then he'll show you how to speed it up from a slow tempo to a fast tempo. So now that you've got the single stroke roll down and you've maybe tried to venture into the faster speeds, Brandon is a very advanced player and he can play really fast. Someday you'll get there. Brandon spends quite a bit of time practicing, so if you keep practicing, you'll get to where Brandon is. The next exercise that Brandon is going to show you is what's called a paradiddle. Paradiddles are very common in music, and you'll see them in almost every piece that you play using the snare drum. So it's important that we start now getting the paradiddle down. So with your sticks in the proper grip, remember we're patting the drum just with a stick. Okay? The paradiddle has an accent first. It's accent and then tap, tap, tap. So par, a, di, do. So we do two on the right hand. So it's right hand with a big accent, and then left hand is a tap, and then right hand two taps, tap, tap. So right, left, right, right. Then we're going to switch to the other hand. Left, right, left, left. Like Brandon, he'll show you. The paradiddle is often used when the percussionist needs to switch around their sticking for the next phrase so that they can be on the correct lead hand. Or a lot of times in marching band or drum corps, they'll use the paradiddle so that their free hand, while the one hand is doing a double, their other hand can do some sort of cool visual. Now that you've worked on your paradiddle, it's time to go faster. Brandon is going to do a slow to fast back to slow technique. This is a great technique to help you develop your fast chops, but you want to be sure that you pay attention to that slow speed and get that first. It's better if you spend a whole bunch of time just going slow and mastering that and gently speeding up the tempo. Ultimately, you want to be able to do it like Brandon, where you can go slow to fast, back to slow. But always remember, do it at your pace. You don't want to go any quicker than what you can handle comfortably. Try not to push yourself too hard. Now that you've got the paradiddle down, it's time to show you what's called a double stroke roll. A double stroke roll is exactly that. It is a double stroke on each hand. So we go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Brandon's going to show you a slow version of how to do that. Now that Brandon has showed you the exercise, why don't you try it for yourself? Be sure you go slow enough. If that was too fast for you, slow it down. Always go your speed. It's best that you practice slow and do it correctly than trying to do it quick and incorrectly. Always practice slow enough for you to do it comfortably. You may have heard the phrase before, practice makes perfect. That is true, but it might make you perfectly wrong if you practice it wrong every single time. So I like to say that practice makes permanent. So if it's going to be permanent, be sure that it's right the first time, and the second, and the third, and the fourth, and then it will always be right. So make it permanently right. Now that you have the double stroke roll down, it's time to try a new rudiment called the 5-stroke roll. So just like the double stroke roll, we're going to hit each hand 2 times. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you'll switch hands, switch to the left. And then you can try switching every other pattern. Just like that. Watch Brandon as he does this slowly. Now that you've watched Brandon do the exercise, why don't you try it yourself? Remember, again, slowly. Be sure you do it at your pace. Be sure that it's comfortable and you're using proper technique. Too often I see students that play with their arms playing too big, and then ultimately they can't play fast enough and they get frustrated. And when you get frustrated, what happens? You quit. So we don't want to quit. So do it slowly enough that you're going to do it right every single time. Once you've got that down, then we'll speed it up. So you can tell that Brandon has really practiced hard, but he's practiced nice and slow first to be sure that his technique is just exactly the way it's supposed to be. So great, now you're ready to tackle the drums on your own. As a review, we just learned how to hold the sticks. We learned how to play a single stroke roll, just an alternating pattern. We learned how to play a paradiddle, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. We learned how to do a double stroke roll, right, right, left, left, 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 right, right, left, left. And then we learned how to do a 5-stroke roll, right, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, left, right, left, 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 right, right, left. So now you work on those at home by yourself. Be sure that you do it slowly. That's right. Because when we do it slowly, it is going to be more permanent and it will be right. And we want to stay comfortable. Now, a couple of techniques that you can use to practice on your own. If you don't have a snare drum, you can practice with just your sticks. If you take your sticks and hold them the same way that you would hold them while playing the snare drum, but backwards, like this, they're going to hit your forearms right here. So you can practice all of those same things right against your forearms. That's a really great way to help you learn how to control your fingers. The fingers are really important, and so kicking out the pinky like that makes it so that your technique suffers and you won't be able to play as fast. So this is a great way to work your fingers so that you do more with your fingers and less with your arm. So I can go do paradiddles. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, 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 just like that. And you can do that over and over and over again. And all you need is a pair of sticks. Now, what if you don't have a pair of sticks? Well, percussionists have the easiest practicing tools. Got my two hands right here. I can try that right here. It's just like padding. When we put it on the drum, it's padding. So we can pat our chest, our legs, a table, whatever you choose, and you can practice all of your rudiments. Just like that. 5-stroke roll. Just like that. Another thing that you might want to invest in is a practice pad. Practice pads are great because they go with you anywhere. You can slip it in your book bag because it's nice and thin. You can throw it in a suitcase if you're going to go somewhere. You can carry it under your arm. It's nice and easy to move around. This particular practice pad has two sides. There's this lighter side that's a softer kind of material, and a black side that's a harder kind of material. I like to practice with the hard side because I can hear it a lot better. The soft side is nice because it rebounds better. Just like that. You can also pat on it. You can use it in multiple ways. A practice pad is also good while you're working on techniques. If you are working through, let's say, a paradiddle, for example, a paradiddle is going to feel different on all three surfaces. It'll feel different on this side, and on a snare drum. The three different surfaces will feel different. So you want to be sure you move around so that you know the feel of different surfaces. Great, now that we've worked on all of those things, it's time for you to get out there and just start hashing it out. If you need some extra resources and some extra help, vicfirth.com has great resources to help you out with rudiments, the snare drum fundamentals, and there are videos there to show you how to do each one of them. Then you can find practice techniques and practice sheets that will help you work through all of those exercises. As you work through these, you're going to get a lot better if you do it slowly enough for you. Be sure you keep it comfortable, and then as you get comfortable with something and you feel like you could do this all day long and you could do it perfect, it's time to move up the tempo. Get out of your comfort zone just a little bit and start building.